Welcome, homeowners and future electricians, to another segment of the Homeowners Electrical Professor. My name is Paul Spasti. I'm your host. And in this segment, I'm going to discuss more about the different types of wire in residential. We're going to talk about NM cables. They're also known as Romex or Flex. Type NN as a non-metallic sheathing. That's how the NM name comes up. It's only approved for dry locations. Type NN cannot be used in damp or wet locations, which is basically outdoors. So in your house, you're going to basically have about 5 different sizes, from 14 gauge, which is good for 15 amps, 12 gauge, which is good for 20 amps, 10 gauge, which is good for 30 amps, 8 gauge, 40 amps, and number 6 gauge is good for 50 or 60 amps. It's actually rated for 55 amps, but the code book allows you to use either the 50 amp or the 60 amp circuit breakers for the number 6 gauge. A little bit about these different colors. Back when I started, back in the 70s, all of your cables were white. Doesn't matter what size it was, they were all white. Somewhere around the year 2000, I believe, they started introducing where 14 gauge was white, 12 gauge was yellow, and then number 10 gauge was orange, and 8 and 6 were black. This way it made it easier for electricians and inspectors when they're wiring houses to know what cable they were working with. In the last, probably the last 5 years or so, manufacturers started coming out now where instead of making the 14.3 be white also, they changed it to blue. They changed 12.3 to purple. They changed 10.3 to this pink, and 6 and 8 gauge, or 8 and 6 gauge, are still black. What you see here, as I said before, when you have a 2-conductor cable, you'll have a black, white, and a ground wire. When you have a 3-conductor cable, it'll be black, white, and then a red cable. Also on 14, 12, and 10, the ground wire will be the same size as the other 2 conductors. This ground wire here is number 10, this ground wire is 14, this ground wire is 12. When you get to 8 and 6 gauge, the code book actually allows you to use, even though the conductors are rated for 40 amps, the ground wire only has to be a number 10. So you'll find that there's a number 10 gauge ground wire in your 8 and your 6 conductor. And also, as you get into some of these larger sizes, your 8 and your 6, instead of the conductor being solid, they're stranded. Makes it a little easier to bend and pull. If you happen to open up your electrical panel and you see these bigger conductors, they're harder to work with because they are bigger. Of course, 14 gauge, when you open up an electrical box, it's the easiest conductor to work with. 12 gets to be a little bit harder. So these are the 5 basic NM cables that you may find in your house. If your house is older, they might all be white conductors, okay? If your house was built before or after the year 2000, you might start seeing these different colors, okay? And if it was very recently built, you'll see even more colors. Don't be alarmed by that. Just look to see what size those conductors are, okay?